Are you ready to expand your life and reality? Join us for the next hour with Jamie Bates as she shares life-changing thoughts, techniques, and awarenesses to help you expand your reality.
Hello and welcome. I am Jamie Bates, consciousness facilitator and expander of realities. My mission with my radio show is to create a greater awareness of what is possible and to expand you beyond the limitations of this reality. I am grateful that you're joining me today. And today I want to talk about one of my favorite subjects. I want to talk about being a consciousness facilitator. Today, I want to share some insight and some information about being a consciousness facilitator. If you have been an avid listener of this show, you're an empath, you know you're energetically sensitive, you know that you know things about things, you know that you're an overprocessor of information. You have probably always been facilitating people's energies. You just haven't been aware of it. You also have probably been invoking other people's energies in your universe, trying to figure them out. If you're a big head tripper, if you're a big figuring it out kind of person, you're always looking at what's going on for other people and you're always diving in and trying to help them and trying to figure it out. You are definitely the space of a consciousness facilitator. You just don't know how to facilitate their energy yet. So today I want to share all about what is a consciousness facilitator. I want to explain that as a whole, okay? And I want to share number two, how do you do consciousness facilitating? I'm going to kind of explain that, really give you that wider view of it. And number three, I want to share what makes being a consciousness facilitator so absolutely positively amazing. Yeah, so before I begin kind of diving into that, I want to share with you a little bit kind of about my journey as a consciousness facilitator. So I actually started doing consciousness facilitation over 10 years ago. Maybe 12 years ago or so. And I actually started doing consciousness facilitation full-time online. It'll be 8 years here in February. So for 8 years, I have had a full-time career as an online consciousness facilitator. Now, how I kind of became a consciousness facilitator is basically I owned a healing center at the time, and I was doing massage and energy work and readings and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I really discovered was I loved to be able to facilitate change for people, right? And I loved when I could put my hands on their body and do things for massage and I could change things and I could create a change, right? And they'd get up and they'd feel so amazing. And then they'd walk out the door and then they'd come back like a week or two or three or four or however long later, right? And they'd be all crippled up in the same exact position, right? Having the same exact issue. And I loved that I could get in there and I could fix it again, right? And they would walk out and the same thing would happen. And at one point in my career as a massage therapist and a Reiki healer and all of that, because I kind of, if you were a massage therapist and you do energy work of any sort, that energy work is flowing through your body when you're doing massage anyway. So even though might not be saying you're doing Reiki or quantum touch or healing touch or any of those energies, if you have energy work, if you've done energy work and you've done massage, you know that it just turns on and it flows out your hands regardless, right? And I used to do what I called massage with a message, where basically, I was a healer. I knew all kinds of different modalities. So when I was doing massage on somebody, yes, I was doing massage, but I was also doing Reiki and quantum touch and healing touch and, all the different modalities that I had learned over the years, right? And I was also giving them messages about things that I was feeling, perceiving in their bodies, and, really kind of perceiving in their energy field, right? So at some point, I really put together kind of a plan, because my plan was like, I had this vision. I really wanted to make a big impact in somebody's life, right? I really wanted somebody to be able to come and see me, and I wanted their issue to change, whatever that issue was. right? I wanted to be the person who, and again, I know that you can't help everybody, but as a me, as a massage therapist, as a healing practitioner, my goal was I desired to be the one who could really like facilitate some kind of a change in their being to create massive change, right? And so I actually developed a thing where somebody could come and see me very regularly, because I did find that if I could massage them, work with them, on a regular basis, like once a week or maybe even a couple times a week, depending on what was going on in their body, I could facilitate more change if it was consistent. I think that's probably with anything, right? If you go to a chiropractor consistently, if you go anywhere and any type of field that is helping to transform your life, it's the consistency that is the key. So I started working with people on a consistent basis. I started taking more clients for was more long-term, right? And yes, I was able to create a transformation of some sort, but I still felt like I really wasn't able to create the massive change that I was looking to create in their life. Like I couldn't fully get rid of what was going on. And that was when I kind of was introduced to consciousness work by a fellow massage therapist who also worked in my healing center. She had stumbled upon some consciousness work, and she came into work one day and she was like, oh my God, I found this. It's so amazing. And I started really diving in. And for the first time, a lot of the issues that I had going on were changing. And I'm sure if you are an avid listener of the show and you do my programs and you do consciousness work as a whole, you know that consciousness work changes things, right? And so I decided at that point, hey, I was going to start doing consciousness work with everybody that came in the door. And I started integrating consciousness stuff in with the sessions I was doing. But really, I was having so much more fun with doing like the verbal processing and the clearing and things of that nature than I ever was having doing massage. Not that I didn't enjoy massage, because I did for a really long time. I really loved to be a massage therapist. I loved to massage people. I loved to do healing. I did. But there was there was a space inside me that was like, no, but this creates the change that you are looking to facilitate in people's life. And so I started integrating, doing more of the consciousness work. And I mean, I'll tell you what, in my healing center, you guys, I did some crazy stuff. And I really, again, my goal was I wanted to take someone and I wanted to help them personally transform their life. That just made me so excited. And when people had big, huge breakthroughs and people came in and shared with me like what occurred, and we had all these conscious conversations, it was like I was so excited about life again. And then I started teaching some different consciousness techniques in classes. And I started to realize how much more consciousness work changed, and how much more, the more I did consciousness work, how much more space of me showed up, how much more ease showed up in my life, how much more peace was in my daily life, right? And that was when I made the decision to become a full-time online consciousness facilitator. And again, I made that decision in February. Well, I actually made it in 2012, or 2013, I'm sorry, but I actually was done and actually launched my online business in February of 2014, becoming a full-time online consciousness facilitator. And since then, I have worked with literally hundreds of clients. I have had thousands of people take my programs. I have created over 50 programs in the 8 years that I have been doing this work. And as many of you know, I am a creator. I'm always creating programs, right? But the thing is because it lights me up. And I get people who tell me all the time, if you just scaled back and just had 1 or 2 programs available, or blah, 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 or whatever. I'm like, no, because the thing is consciousness is so big. Okay, I'm not teaching you how to ride a tricycle or how to, repaint your kitchen cabinets. I mean, those things are great, but it's not one skill that I'm teaching as a consciousness facilitator. I am basically, as a consciousness facilitator, I am facilitating consciousness, right? And that includes a lot of different areas in life. And so when I started really diving into being a full-time consciousness facilitator, and I mean, I started creating programs right away, but I was kind of already creating things when I owned the healing center. I just didn't really have an outlet or have the time to really sit down and kind of figure out how to do it on, like tangible, where I could sell it or, give it to people or whatever. And so when I became full-time online, I mean, I think that first year I was online, I created, I don't even know, 2 or 3 like of my first kind of long core programs. And from there, it was like I was hooked. Now I don't sell any of those really old programs anymore. I don't even think that we even have them anymore. But essentially, when I made the choice to become a consciousness facilitator, right? I stepped into a brand new energy space and consciousness of me. And today, that's my invitation to you. Over the years, over the last 8 years of being a consciousness facilitator, I have met people all over the whole world. Okay. The thing about working online is there are literally, your tribe is spread out throughout the whole world. Okay. So no, you're not, if you decided you wanted to be a consciousness facilitator or you wanted to do consciousness facilitation, you're probably more than likely not going to work with your family. You're not going to work with your friends. Okay. I don't work with my family. I have been doing this work now, just like I said, I've been at home doing this work for 8 years. I don't facilitate any of my family members. I don't do consciousness facilitation with any of my friends. I have a few clients. I have some people here who are in my local area who actually used to come to my healing center, who still participate in a lot of the stuff that I do to this day, because consciousness is a progression. It is not something you learn one time and then never come back to. It's a way of life. Consciousness is a way you move. It's a way you create your life. And a consciousness facilitator is someone who facilitates consciousness. Breathe that through for a moment. For the last 8 years, I have made my living helping people all over the world as a consciousness facilitator. And today, I would like to invite you into the same reality. If you've been listening to my program and you've been taking some of my courses and you have been getting relief from the work that I'm doing, today I'm inviting you into exploring being a consciousness facilitator yourself. Breathe that through for a moment. So let's look at, what is a consciousness facilitator? So again, a consciousness facilitator is someone who facilitates consciousness, but what does that really truly mean? It's really someone who is helping humanity awaken. As a consciousness facilitator, we are assisting the planet in evolution, helping to create a new earth, right? That new earth is showing up. And as a consciousness facilitator, we are removing the unconscious paradigms, which is helping to wake people up, helping to create the new earth, helps people heal. I can't even tell you how many people in the last even just 8 years of doing this online that I have had come to me in debilitating pain. And in a short time frame, I'm not talking like a week or 5 days. I'm talking, the thing about consciousness facilitation and getting consciousness facilitation and changing issues in your body and in your life is, it's not overnight. And you can't expect it to be overnight. And that's a lot of the reason why I feel like many people don't actually get healed from the issues that they have in their life, because they lack the commitment. They think, oh God, I tried that 4 times and it didn't work. Okay, no, consciousness facilitation is a progression. And if I've had people come to me and literally debilitating pain, not being able to walk, all kinds of things going on, and within 3, 6, 9 months. Sometimes it takes some people a year to get to the core. Because the thing is once you get to the core of the issue, everything changes. So as a consciousness facilitator, you are helping people heal on a grand, grand scale. We're helping the planet heal, helping people evolve beyond their current limitations. A consciousness facilitator holds space without a point of view. And being a consciousness facilitator means that you get to step into your own personal power by truly being you. Breathe that through for a moment. Just feel the lightness in that. So I want to share a little bit with you about how do you do consciousness facilitation. Basically, consciousness facilitation is done in the beginning by using a set of tools and processes to create an environment for someone to heal. A consciousness facilitator will first and foremost identify and remove polarity. Okay, so when we're looking at this concept as a whole, essentially polarity is the duality in which we store our form and structure. Okay, so basically polarity is where we store our truth that we learned about this reality, about living here on planet Earth. We have form and structure, which I'm going to talk about here in a moment. And basically the form and structure is all built from the polarity. So it's every single thing. And the thing is we have all of our polarity stored before we're even 10 years old. Okay, because you start storing polarity the minute you're born. Okay, and polarity is everywhere that you have aligned and agreed with some kind of a concept. So, even when you were 3 years old and somebody pointed at something and said, oh, this is bad. And you said, okay, because you didn't know, you were 3 years old, right? You don't know if it's bad or good or right or wrong, right? Somebody told you, so you're going to store that as your truth, especially if your parents told you, right? Polarity is everywhere that you resisted or reacted to something. So if you find yourself often in this loop of like being angry or being frustrated or being, I don't know, upset about something, and it's over and over and over, and it's not just even one thing. It's I'm mad about this and I'm mad about that and I'm mad about this, means that you have a lot of stored polarity in the places of your life where you have resisted and reacted to things. Because when you resist and react to things, it's the same exact energy as aligning and agreeing. It's still stored energy space. The thing is the universe doesn't care if you hate or love something. If you're constantly playing in the energy of it, the universe is just going to bring you more of it. And the more like charge you have. So if you're constantly finding yourself frustrated about everything in life, it's because you have a lot of energy towards frustration. And when you get frustrated, now, if you have anything that you're perpetrating a lot in your life, especially like frustration or anger or rage or anything like that, basically every single time you get that emotion, right? Like frustration, let's take that as an example. Every single time you're frustrated, right? You feel that rush of frustration through your body, right? Oh, I'm so mad. I'm so frustrated, right? You feel that emotional charge. Okay, I remember myself, I used to be all emotionally charged. I was literally emotionally charged about everything. And the thing is when you're emotionally charged about everything, that just means that you have a ton of polarity around it, right? And the universe, again, it doesn't care if you hate it or love it. It just goes, hey, look, you got all kinds of space of it. Here's more. Okay. So also within the polarities everywhere you've defended for or against anything. So if you find yourself fighting for things, fighting against things, fighting for this, fighting against it, again, that just means that you have a lot of polarity, and the polarity is continuously enraging your energy system, creating more of it showing up. It's also everywhere that you make something right or wrong or good or bad. It's everywhere we do righteous for and against. So as a consciousness facilitator, you start identifying the stored polarity in someone's field, which if you have a conversation with somebody, they'll tell you straight up front, this frustrates me, this makes me angry. They'll tell you stories all day long about all of the crap that's going on in their life, right? So a consciousness facilitator will then break down that form and structure. So the form and structure is basically, again, it basically tells us how to feel about this reality. So we have like the polarity is like the duality, like the emotional or the energetic charge, if you will. The form and structure is like the house it goes in. So if we think about it like this, like the form and structure is like the building, right? It's like the skyscraper, right? Whereas the polarity is like the furniture that's stored inside. Okay. So the form and structure is this big, huge skyscraper. And the form and structure is basically the basis that tells us how to feel about this reality, because it's all the storage spaces, right? It's everything that you've learned, decided, stored as real and true. So basically the form and structure is like the housing for like all of the viewpoints. Okay. And the thing is we have form and structure about everything in our life. Okay. We have society-based form and structure, depending on where you lived, where you grew up, right? We know you've all probably traveled places, right? You know that every single area, even in the United States, I live in Michigan, right? When I go to Florida, it's like a whole new world. It's like people exist in a whole different space in Florida than they do in Michigan. And if I've been to lots of different states in the United States, right? When you go to different states, people talk different, right? They have different points of views about life. They say words differently. And I'm not just even talking about, people who speak other languages, right? I mean, you go to a different country, like Canada. We live right by Canada. I used to go to Canada all the time when I was a teenager and in my 20s. And Canada's a whole different world over there, right? So depending on where you were born, lived, raised, you're going to have society-based form and structure. You're going to have religious-based form and structure, right? If you are Baptist, Catholic, Hindu, whatever religion you are, religious structures and really any structure, like being a Baptist, let's just say, it has a whole form and structure. And it has a lot of rules, right? And every form of structure has a lot of rules, because it has a lot of, this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad, right? There's a lot of rules. Right. So if you decide you're Catholic, or if you grew up Catholic and you were baptized and all of that, then you have the form and structure of Catholic religion in your field. And it's not bad or good or right or wrong. It's just is what it is. Okay. We have family life-based experiences stored in our form and structure. How to relate to family, what family means to us, what love means to us, what our values are, all of that. It's all stored within your form and structure. All your experiences, all of it. Okay. And basically that form and structure basically creates the way that your life shows up. So you are a being, right? You're this big energy, space, and consciousness. We didn't do an expansion today either, did we? But you're this big energy, space, and consciousness, and you have a body, right? And your body is within your being. Your being is not within your body. I know I say this all the time, but gosh, it's so important to remember that we are not this little tiny being inside of our body. We are a body, and then we have this big, huge, infinite space in consciousness, and our body is inside that infinite space of consciousness. Okay? And in our infinite space of consciousness is our form and structure. It's all those constructs. It's everything that you believe to be true. That form and structure, those buildings, let's look at them as skyscrapers. Those buildings are creating your reality. Okay. It tells the world what you believe to be true about your life based on the form and structure that you have stored in your field. Your form and structure creates the way that your life shows up. All of that stored information creates your reality. And the thing is our form and structure, again, number one, our form and structure is all formed before we're even 10 years old. Okay. And if you've been around a kid or you've had a kid, that a child doesn't have the capacity to make great decisions as a child, right? Have you ever talked to a 3-year-old? They don't have any idea what's going on. I mean, I have 3 kids. I love them. But I'm just saying, a 3-year-old doesn't see things the same way as a 45-year-old sees things, right? Because they don't have the capacity to be able to receive the scope of what's going on. But as that 3-year-old, we learned and decided all kinds of things. And we stored that in our form and structure. We also stored energies that people projected at you. We were just talking about this yesterday in the live call. We had somebody who kind of spoke up, and she lost her mom at a very young age. I'm not going to go into like any of her personal details or anything, but we were talking about, even in her form and structure, about the belief systems, or I'm sorry, the energies that people projected at her, right? I mean, just envision with me for a moment, right? A young child loses a parent, let alone a mom, right? Instantaneously, we go, oh, our heart hurts for them, right? For so many different reasons, right? And each one of us might we might have a personal connection. We might know someone who lost a parent at a very young age, or maybe we even lost a parent at a very young age, right? Maybe you did, or maybe you just had a friend who lost a parent at a very young age. And so you have a different viewpoint about a child raising or losing a parent at a very young age than I do. I mean, I've never personally, well, I guess I can't say that. I have known people in the past who have lost parents, not anybody that was really young, but I do kind of have the opposite energy. I do know people personally who lost children at a very young age, right? As a parent. And I know personally as well, right? We go to that space where it's like, oh, we go right to our reference points, but also we project energy at the child or at the parent or at the whatever, right? So in her case, people projected the energy at her, right? Felt terrible and heartbroken and all of the things for her, right? And one of the things is that's painful, right? And as a very young child, she didn't really have the scope to be able to really understand the severity of what was going on, right? As a child, we don't understand death. We don't know what that means. We don't grasp that concept yet, right? Until we've been in it for a while. And then obviously we know they're not coming back, right? But when it first happens, we don't have the capacity to receive what's going on. And so oftentimes we'll get caught in the projections of the energies, because if we think about even loss and grief, it's heavy, right? And it's hard. Gosh, is it a hard vibration, right? And if you think about, a 2-year-old who gets a whole bunch of projection of grief at them, it's a lot of form and structure. And then what happens is that form and structure gets planted in their field as part of who they think they are. But it also, when that form and structure, basically what that form and structure does is the form and structure, it's in your field, right? But it also filters information. So if we think about, if you've ever been to like a big city, like Chicago or whatever big cities in your area, right? And if you've ever went into the big city and you've stood in a street or on the sidewalk and you've looked around you and have all of these big, huge skyscrapers all around you, right? They're way even bigger than you. And if you're standing somewhere in the city, whether it's in the road or on the sidewalk, you can't see very far, right? Because there's buildings everywhere and they're big buildings. They have a lot of form and structure, right? Your universe is kind of like that. Okay. Now, the thing is the information that you desire, or if you want change, or if you're looking for your life to change. So basically our form and structure is all kind of like, being in the city, standing around, looking at all these big, huge buildings. That's our form and structure. So it's bigger than you, right? And the thing is new information can't really work its way into your life, because in order for life to change, you have to be able to receive something different. Well, if your energy, space, and consciousness is all stored up with, big, huge skyscraper buildings that are bigger than you, that take up all this room in your universe, how are you going to feel? You're going to feel stifled. You're going to feel like you have no choice in life at all. You're going to feel like everything is heavy and hard. It's going to feel like no matter what you try to do, you cannot get a different outcome. It's not going to matter who you talk to or what you choose. It's always going to end up crappy, or you're going to end up struggling with it, or you're going to have an issue of some way, shape, or form. Nothing is going to be easy, because the thing is when you're trying to do something and you have all of that skyscraper programming, all you're doing is rechecking back in with your programming, and your programming's going, this is this, that is that, this is how you respond, this is how this is made, right? This is how the universe creates your energy. And you're looking at it going, no, I don't want this anymore, right? Angry. And what are you doing? You're contributing to it more. As a consciousness facilitator, you will learn to break down this form and structure using a defined step-by-step method that you just read off of a piece of paper. You will start breaking down the form and structure, and when you do that, everything changes. When you release the form and structure, and when you do this for somebody else, okay, when you release their form and structure, instead of looping in those old programs, they get to see new possibilities, which creates, and if you've been an avid listener of the show and you've been taking my programs, you know, you've already been feeling it. You have a lighter space inside your body, right? More possibilities show up for you than ever before. You have more clarity, more ease. Life change is easier, and maybe you're not exactly where you